to take away love from someone because they want it or need it, or it seems to be maybe they don't deserve it, but to take away something from somebody because they want it or need it or have to have it is ultimately a poor way to express a punishment or a desire to punish somebody by not accepting them and staying away from them or just being out of their presence. It could be a punishing, uh, problematic situation under the circumstances as it is. Friends are never trustworthy, truly, because friends will backstab you, and ultimately, you can't trust anybody. And we're all feeling that way, which means it's pretty. It's a bad situation to be that no one's trusting anybody, and that's what we're doing. No one's trusting anybody, and that's what we're doing. Doing a distrust and an absolute suspicion. It requires or requirements for getting along are that this presence of the singular masculine. Well, first of all, this presence of singular masculine has to be in a man and not out of him. And ultimately, men that don't want it, that don't take this masculine presence of singularity, if they're not possessed by this masculine presence of singularity, it's a dominating singularity. It can also be a feminine singularity, and it's the same as masculine, which means that singularity is singularity, whether it's masculine or feminine, and singularity is truly singularity, and it don't matter. So there is no difference between masculine and feminine when you're talking about singularity. For feminine singularity is no different from masculine singularity. They're both singularity. They become different when it becomes plural, and it becomes a plurality is a difference between two things. To be possessed by plurality, uh, you have two halves or two things that are being put together, and otherwise you only have one half first. Okay, I guess that's about it, right? Friends are not recommended for people who are trying to stabilize their mentality and you got mental problems, emotional problems. Your friends aren't going to be able to help you. They're not going to be able to. It's going to make it worse. So understand that if you can't get your mind stabilized and under control, it may be that someone close to you is someone you shouldn't be accepting. Ultimately, you can't get rid of all your friends because if you do, you won't have any friends, and then you're still going to be not fixing it. So the solution is going to be just be careful with your friends. Just be careful because usually when something happens bad, it's going to happen from a family member or friends and strangers and people that in the world that you don't have to worry about them. You can trust the strangers and that you can even trust the enemy, but don't trust the close friends. Don't trust the close family members. Those are where they that's where the cobra bites. That's where we get screwed. If that could be okay and it wasn't a cobra bite, then we would accept that it's not a cobra bite, and we wouldn't say that it's poisonous or that's bad. But if that is a cobra bite and it is nothing else but a cobra bite, then we'll look at that for what it is, and not say it's not a cobra bite, or it should be a nice little dolly that kisses you. If that is a nice little dolly that kisses you, then okay, then we'll see. We won't see a cobra bite in us, and ultimately it's going to be hard to realize that the most important thing that we have is this masculinity and this singularity if we're men, and ultimately if we're women, we could use this singularity and this masculine too, because it is going to be a singularity. So women will use it, men will use it, and it's called God. God is a singularity and a masculine, and he's the one that you take, not take. So you take ego, you have ego, and you make it behave. by being possessed by a bad, misbehaving ego, and you take it. You don't not take it, and then you make it behave because you tell it what it has to do, and you resist what it's trying to urge you to do. So you're not supposed to not take the ego because it's bad. You're supposed to take it and make it behave because it's not bad, and it only is bad because it's been rejected, and people won't take it. They won't take it to be with it, to hang out with it. They won't take it to. They won't take it to do anything but misbehave with it, or it does misbehave just by itself. We're not going to have anything to do with that misbehaving ego, are we? It is an entity that is alive, and it is also an entity that is powerful, and a collective of men, a huge collective, is behaving as ego. It does, and it's all in a resistance. It's all in a. It's all in a disposition. In a. It needs to be accepted again, and taken, and taught, and it needs to be included and loved. And the ego needs to be loved. It wants to be loved, and it also denies that because it's trying not to be her. It gets emotional, and it also starts to get emotionally unstable when it loses itself and takes her, especially because she's emotional. And the ego doesn't want to cry or give up or even lose its confidence. So the ego is on purpose trying to kind of reject her and anything else. So it comes off like it's not going to cooperate with you. It's only trying to protect itself from losing its spirit. If the ego gets pushed out of the body, it'll get into men and they'll misbehave with it on purpose because they'll get into men and they'll say, "Yeah, you're the only people it gets in." It doesn't get into the women; they won't take it. The women won't take the ego, and they're rejecting it, and therefore the ego is a spirit that's living in a collective of a lot of men, and it's been rejected permanently, ousted. It's not included in the world events. It's not included in any kind of relationship, and women won't have anything to do with it. They utterly don't like ego. Men are encouraged to get rid of their ego if they want to be accepted by women. And I want you to know that you could get rid of God and you could be accepted by women. You could get rid of yourself and be accepted by women. And you can get rid of your ego that you think is not you and be accepted by women. But if the ego is you, or God, or singular masculine, then you did get rid of the singular masculine when you got rid of the ego. So ask yourself, if you're going to keep your singular masculine, you can get rid of your ego. But if it's a singular masculine and you get rid of your ego, then you got rid of your singular masculine. And if you don't know what you've done, you certainly will when you do it. You'll be defeated utterly by getting rid of your ego because now you have no defense. And now she'll accept you because you've done exactly what she wants. You got rid of yourself and took her. She says, "Good. Now that's what I wanted. That's what I want you to do, to get rid of yourself and take me." Okay, well, I know, but that's okay because you should take her and get along with her. But the reality is, it's not if you can't. If you can only hold your half, don't think you're not getting rid of God when you get rid of ego. Because if you get rid of singular masculine, I don't care if you call it Joe, Tom, Dick, or Harry. If it's singular masculine and you get rid of it, call it Joe or Tom or Betty. But if you get rid of Betty, the singular masculine, you can call it God or the ego and say you didn't need it. Or maybe yourself, you didn't need. You certainly did need it. And you can't live without it until she lets us come back, us egos, us bad misbehaviors, us men who take the singular masculine and say it's mine and I'm keeping it. Or ultimately in defiance of her, or we're gonna say she's in defiance of us. That's how it works. So hopefully in the future she realizes that there's lots of men she can't push herself into or force to accept her. But there are a lot of men she can. So she'll have to either know who she's trying to, what she's trying to do. She'll have to have an awareness of it. What she's trying to do. Push your influence into things. Be careful because you can do it. But the thing is, some men you can't do it. If you try it with the wrong man, it'll ruin everything. It'll make you look bad. But if you try it with the right man, it'll be successful relationship where you instilled your influence in some other guy. It also could be that you'll influence the whole collective that way. So you could be the Whitman kid do what they're doing, but if they are going to reject the men from the very start, well, yeah, they're rejecting God from the very start. If you don't include God in the relationship, you won't include ego in the relationship. And if ego's been ousted, God's been ousted. And so understand, if you're allowed to kick the singular masculine out, call it ego, then you'll kick God out and yourself out and call it ego. So you can't get rid of the singular masculine. If its name's ego or God or yourself, it doesn't matter what its name is. If you get rid of the singular masculine, then you will be getting rid of it. And it doesn't matter what name it is, whether they call it ego or misbehaving. You can't get rid of it. Not a chance. That's what I've got to share. Okay, see y'all later.